they could be attracted to come back and invest what they gain in the country. So I see problem in this. Agon, if you have something to say.
Sure. I mean, it's just, I think the internal migration is also an important phenomenon. You see all over the Balkans, this heavy concentration of the populations in capital cities, basically becoming, the country is becoming, one, kind of cluster economies. Like, there's one part of the country where there's like, high development, and then the rest is really struggling. And I think it's a, in that case, that's a clearly economic choice, because of incomes, because the economies are developing in kind of services, tourism, the kind of, it's a purely more economic choice. I think in the outward migration, the difference is broader. The concerns and demands are higher. So it's not just jobs. It's, as I mentioned earlier, it's standards of certain things. So expectations are different. It's health, education, the kind of things that middle-class families especially are worried about. And then also this issue of, then maybe, as I said, there's a little bit of cultural element here. That's why I mentioned fatalism. I think there is something in the Balkans that is a bit more specific in this fatalism, in this mistrust that it will ever be well here, and the reason why I think it's not only had to do with economics but also psychology is Croatia, for example. Take a look at Croatia. Croatia is much more advanced, not much more, but considerably more advanced economically than it's going more. It's done better also politically. It's joined the EU. The whole Balkans were about we will be developed, and when we enter the EU, everything will be fine. But Croatia is also experiencing a massive outward migration of skilled workers. They're running out of doctors as well. So how does one explain that? It's not about lack of jobs. It's not about even good salaries. It's not about the bad economy. It's about, I guess, people demanding even more and more, and really, being unable to wait, and to understand how development, how it happens. I think this opens up, I'm not competent to go into that area, not just because I don't have the proper data, but also I think this requires some, sociologists, anthropologists, I guess, I don't know, who would be able to make some of these interpretations on the cultural and psychological dimensions. Social psychologists, I guess.
If I may add just this reminded me that in Maria's question, there was this cultural aspect. I would say what the problem is, and maybe we didn't tackle that enough, is exactly this cultural and social stigma towards, for example, LGBT people, towards people with disability, I don't know, or these stereotypes that are existing in the Balkans, especially regarding the role of women, for example. So all these things are indeed a huge push factor, because people are seeing, especially those who had a chance to travel abroad and see how is it in other countries, they find it more safe maybe, or I don't know, like better, as I mentioned in the beginning. It's just fleeing the country but going for something better. And of course this cultural aspect can be a major factor here as well. So thank you, Marija, for mentioning that as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you both to Marija and Agon, and thank you also to Mario Nardini for the interesting question, and also for a parallel that he made about inner migration and immigration outside the emigration outside the country. Maybe if we see the factors that make people leave their village or their small town and go to larger spaces, to larger towns, this should, of course, it's not a problem, as Marija said, because it still remains within one country, but it can be useful perhaps to understand the factors that why people leave their own country. And also for, I thank Mario about mentioning the cultural factors to which somehow Agon gave an answer. Quite interesting, and I would think this is quite thought-provoking. Any other question, please? People are following us live. Much more people. Well, then maybe I will refer to some questions that we received before the panel today. First, let me, before I put a question, Claire Hassan-Beliou is asking to put a question, please.
Hi, my name is Claire. So I am myself a student coming from abroad. Well, I'm from Albania. I went abroad to study and then I came back again to Albania, and I'm kind of an example of this kind of idea of brain draining and immigration, etc. And honestly, like I feel like from my personal experience, like it's very mixed, the experience that I have, because there are so many people who are like so against this idea that why are the youth going abroad to study, work, etc., etc. And at the same time, there are people who are asking me like, why did you come back if there was better abroad? And I think that living in Eastern Europe, it's kind of very typical for us to know that Western has better universities, better standard of living, higher wages and everything. So it means that whatever knowledge we would get from living somewhere where there is a higher standard, bringing that back home would make a big improvement in the culture, in infrastructure, in education, or even monetary. Because even though I was a student, for example, I also had like the opportunity to come back home and bring to home something new, something different, and help in something. So for me, I am very 50-50 when we get to this topic, because I think it's great for